welcome to our next podcast where we're chatting with Brooke, who's one of my first-home buyer clients, but your partner's not a first-home buyer, is he, Brooke?
No.
So you now have one investment property together and you were looking to buy your first home together. So how long have you been looking? You were looking around Sydney and the Northern Beaches. So how long have you been looking for a property?
Yeah, I'd say we've probably been looking, we're trying to make a decision on whether to buy in Sydney or in the Central Coast. So something to live in or down here or up there, obviously. And I think we probably looked for, well, I started looking by myself probably about 18 months ago. And then we decided that it was something that we were going to do together probably in the last 12 months. So, yeah.
So a long time.
A long time, yeah.
and what made you finally have success?
Well, yeah, I think it's been a lot of back and forth, and I think actually it was something that you said to us around just get out there, just start to have a look around at what you can buy in Sydney versus what you can buy up the coast, and the strategy will become clear once you start to see where you want to spend your money. And ultimately, it was just from looking, I think, that made our decision.
Yeah, because you were initially looking at spending a bit more, but not, and ending up with a bigger mortgage. And instead, and then COVID came along and it's made things a bit more difficult, hasn't it? Because you're now all working at home.
Yeah, exactly. So it was one of those things where it was, okay, if we spend $1 million or maybe 1.12, what do we get in our money? What does our money buy for us in Sydney? And it gives us something similar to what we live in now, which really works for now. But we're both in our late 30s and we know that our lifestyle will at some point change. We don't have kids yet. And I think fundamentally, where we kind of settled on and why we've chosen the Central Coast to purchase is because it's not a huge mortgage or as big as what it was going to be in Sydney, which then just opens up a lot of lifestyle factors for us anyway, just in terms of, I guess, still living and enjoying our lives, but also getting a house with land, which is my dad's a builder. And so I guess property and houses, but particularly houses on land is kind of in my blood. So I think that's probably also what kind of led us there as well for the decision.
And that's great because now you've got a property that, yes, it could grow with you and you can develop. And the more you put into it, you're going to get more out of it, aren't you? That's what your expectation is, yeah. So how did you first find us, actually, at the property education company?
Through another podcast. So as I said, Dad's a builder, so building and houses and renovating is in my veins. I've lived in a lot of different houses growing up, and it's always been a dream of mine to buy and renovate a house, either to live in or maybe eventually flip them or rent them out. Who knows? There's plenty of options. So it's always been a bit of a dream. And I was listening to another podcast called She Renovates, who interviewed you, and I just thought. Oh, he's a broker, a mortgage broker, but that also sounds like someone who's going to kind of step you through the process. As I said, we were really confused on what our strategy was going to be, and just had so many ideas rolling around in our heads. So I needed to find someone who we could work with that would just help us get to that point without actually making the decision for us, as much as I wanted someone to do that. So through another podcast, because that's what I've been I think once you kind of have a dream or a goal, then you immerse yourself in that and you listen to it and read about it and whatever you can. So it's just my own curiosity.
Oh, no, that's great. And I'm thrilled you came that way because we love Bernadette Jansen from She's divine.
Yes. Yes.
And she's the total expert, and that's who I go to with help for renovating too. So I'm in her program at the moment. I think she's fabulous.
Yeah.
But one of the things is checking online and getting all that information. It can be a bit overwhelming, can't it? You feel like what do I do? Which way do I go? And a lot of that's I hope we've been able to help you streamline that. So what's been the hardest thing about this process for you?
Good question. I actually think it was just the strategy.
Okay.
Yeah, I think once you kind of make a decision, then everything just seems to follow with it. The floodgates open essentially, and the more you commit to one decision, the more that just got reaffirmed and reaffirmed. So, and it was just, and I think finally just embracing the fear of the time was going to pass regardless of what we did with it, and just then kind of going, we've just got to make a choice here, we've got to make a decision and stop treating property like something that was going to be set in stone. I think that for me was what I couldn't kind of get beyond. It's, oh, what if this is the wrong decision? What are we going to do? And I guess not realising that it's not a liquid asset, but if we did make a wrong decision, then there's plenty of things we can do to right that. And I guess if we had people like yourselves in our corner, you know, we knew that we had good advice and was, I guess, moving further away from making a wrong decision. But yeah, I think it was just the fear of actually committing to something. Yeah, that was the hardest part.
No, that's brilliant and interesting, because I often talk to people, it's not just a head decision. It's not just lining up the duck. It actually feels in your heart when it's right. And when it's right, as you say, everything flows. You know, it just worked really quickly in the end, didn't it?
Exactly. And I think there's an element of the expectation I had of what this would look like versus accepting what was actually going to be the decision. So, you know, I'm definitely someone who can kind of get caught up in, well, this is what I want my life to look like, and I picture myself in this house or this apartment. But, you know, my partner Grant had an investment property. I don't have one yet, but I was treating this like our forever home or our family home, as opposed to a stepping stone and the property ladder. So as soon as I kind of let that go and thought, no, this is just property one, we'll work out what's next and what the next strategy is, and let that kind of go, as much more accepting of the choices that we then had available to us.
That's awesome. And what's been the easiest part of the process?
The finance.
I'm so glad to hear that. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, like there's a lot of paperwork. Banks are so archaic. But yeah, I think
yeah, they want to know exactly where you are and what you're doing, don't they?
Exactly. And I think just, you know, understanding the impact that maybe a car loan has on you, how far your savings will get you, is LMI the right thing to be going for, what's the stamp duty? As soon as you can break all that down, which it just became an easy step, and then that also then facilitated our decision. So finance has been easy.
Oh, that's so good to hear. I could have paid you for that one. Thanks for the comment. I really appreciate that. That's lovely.
No, seriously.
Sometimes it feels like you're asking for people's, you know, life history forever and a day and every little nitty-gritty thing. So I'm really thrilled we got it there quickly and easily for you, because it doesn't feel like that sometimes.
Honestly, I don't know what people would do if they didn't have someone who knew the banks or kind of knew finance and loan structures, and all of it is so overwhelming, and, you know, what's right for one person is not right for the other. So yeah, I think I'm a firm believer in paying experts or working with experts to do the things that you can't, whether that's having a cleaner every couple of weeks come through the house, or having a really good trainer. Yeah, I think it's fundamental to getting the right decision, making sure that you don't lose money in the process, I guess.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. So, and what's the best advice you'd offer someone going out to buy their next house, and whether it's a first home or an upgrade or an investment? What would you think would make the process easier and better for them?
Stay in your lane. Do what is right for you and your lifestyle and your family, whether you've got one or wanting to grow one. Don't look at what everyone else is doing, because what everyone else is doing might necessarily be right for you. I've got lots of friends and people I know who are out there buying lots of different properties, you know, really expensive properties, but they might be in a different financial position to me, and that's okay. So yeah, I think it's just, really my advice is just to kind of put the blinkers on and just kind of hone in on who you are and what you want and what you're trying to do, whether it's just a house to live in or whether it's a vehicle for wealth creation.
No, that's brilliant advice. That's really great because it's true. People can get caught up in what everyone else is, oh, what have I done? Feeling or doing, around them instead of focusing on what they really want and how they want to feel at the end of this process. Because you do not want to end up with a loan that's too overwhelming or.
Exactly. And actually a piece of advice that my mum gave, she said, you just want to be able to put your head on the pillow at night and fall asleep.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And we should all have that sleep at night factor. I need it for me as well. When I'm doing loans for people, I want to make sure what I've done is the right thing. So sometimes people say, oh, can't you do that? I go, no, I have a sleep at night factor. So I'm with you completely.
Exactly.
On that one. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Is there any last bit of advice you might be able to share?
Just keep saving.
Yeah. Yeah, saving's a good thing, isn't it? We had to chat about how, what to spend your money on, and it makes a huge difference when you've got the right deposit, doesn't it?
And I think I told you about an article I'd read on Business Insider about, they've coined this term for millennials called Henrys, which is high earners, not rich yet.
Yeah.
And one thing that the COVID pandemic had taught these Henrys was all of a sudden COVID hit and they're in lockdown, and all of a sudden all these savings started to rise in their bank accounts. And that's because, gone were the vacations, the luxurious hotels, the Ubers to pubs, the 10 beers at the pub, whatever it was. So all of a sudden this kind of new lifestyle kind of exposed your discretionary income. So yeah, I guess, and so that's kind of like my final tip, is that to really look at your discretionary income and how much do you really need those many nights out or whatever it might be. But,
yeah, don't be a Henry. Poor Henry.
Yeah, don't be a Henry. Buy a high income earner and rich.
That's great. Great advice. Well done, you. Terrific. Well, congratulations on your new home. You should be very proud of yourselves because you've done a great job.
Thank you. We couldn't have done it without you, I swear.
Oh, well, I'm thrilled. No, we're thrilled to help you because that's what we love doing. So thank you very, very much for your time.
Thanks.